I'm Steve Williams with ACME Cub Training, and once again we're working on the Raffle Cub airplane here. Since our last video, we've got the firewall built out of titanium, and SRI Racing is the one that did the jeweling on their CNC machine on the front. Mike Moore, one of my guys, he's the one that built the lip and riveted it on. Mike Moore is building the boot cowl right now, and he's got the top piece fitted. It is fitted nicely on the panel. Nope, still more trimming on the panel. And then we're going to build the side piece of the boot cowl so that it has number 8 screws so that you can pull the boot cowl away for working under the dash, working on the rudder pedals. It can open up actually even more than this for an annual, be able to open it up to work on stuff. We've added an F-Atlee Dodge rear seat heater. That's what this is. And actually the way I plumb it is I run a scat hose, so this actually blows on the pilot. And then the normal heater, I run a scat hose underneath the battery box, which is Willow Mountain Ranch forward battery box. I run a 2-inch scat back to the rear passenger. And the reason I do that is I'm the flight instructor that rides in the back seat all the time, and I don't like the rear seat hose coming by my foot, by my right rudder pedal. So I turn the rear seat heat into the front seat heat, and I turn the front seat heat into the rear seat heat so that I don't have a scat hose running by my right rudder pedal, which works fine, but I like my way better. Okay, moving around here, F-Atlee Dodge makes the performance muffler known as the hot rod muffler. This one is not a brand new one, but it was brand new rebuilt by Atlee Dodge. It was damaged, and he refurbished this muffler. They are now building their own mufflers exhaust systems at F-Atlee Dodge here in Anchorage. So these forward stack and the rear stack, the 2 stacks, were actually just welded up by F-Atlee Dodge. In fact, just yesterday. They picked them up yesterday, and I've started the install of the exhaust system. So what's next? Next is finish our boot cowl. Windshield strips are going to go on. Windshield strips we bought, they're Univair strips, and we bought them from Stoddard's Aircraft Parts. Got 2 new windshield strips. The new windshield goes on, and I got that from Airframes Alaska. New windshield from Airframes Alaska. We got to build the rear boot cowl pieces yet, but that's pretty simple. Fit them up, cut them, and they're all nut plated. That's a pretty simple thing. Gotta put our starter cable in, and we crimp it ourselves, but I bought the cable from Aircraft Spruce in Wasilla. And one thing I do that's a little different than Piper did is I run my ground wire for the engine from the case, and I run it through the firewall, and I ground directly to the frame inside the airplane. And the reason I do that is Piper used to ground through their bolts. They used to ground the engine to a tab that is not welded here anymore. It's ground off. Actually, it's right up here. That's the ground tab that Piper used to ground the engine to the engine mount. Okay? And the problem is now you're dependent on the bolts to your firewall to ground. And I had a grounding problem once, and it found the ground through my primer lines and actually melted a hole in my firewall through my engine primer lines, which have gas. And the reason is that I had powder coated engine mount lugs, I had a powder coated engine mount, and there was no good ground track, so the shortest ground was through the primer lines, and it actually melted a hole in the firewall. So now, because of that, I ground directly from the engine, and I put it cable, number 2 cable, because that's the size of the starter. So anytime you have number 2 cable power, you have to have an equal ground. So I run that size ground through the firewall, and I go right to the frame. So that's my grounding data today. As we walk around here, the cowling has to be installed, and I'm putting Atlee Dodge stainless steel rails on the cowling, which we need to install. We still gotta install the wings. They're ready to go. We're gonna put airframes, aluminum lift struts on, and we're leaving them aluminum colored. They're not painted. They look good. Don't have to paint them. They don't. Keep them polished and they won't corrode. Keep them clean, polished, they won't corrode. Let them be dirty, never clean them, then that's a problem. But aluminum, as long as you keep it clean and polished, it doesn't corrode. The landing gear we have on this airplane is the landing gear that came with this airplane, and I'm pretty sure it's Dodge landing gear, Atlee Dodge landing gear. We have new shock struts and bungees, cold weather 1280 and cold weather 1380 on each side. The wheels and brakes we're going to add are Behringer wheels and brakes. If you look inside, you can see the fancy Behringer brakes. And currently we got the wheels off my Cessna 180 on it, just because the Behringer wheels and 35-inch tires are so massive, they're hard to work around. So these are installed temporarily until we get the final assembly ready to test fly. We'll put on the Behringer wheels, we'll put on the 35-inch tires, and we'll weigh the airplane. And we weigh it with oil in it. We weigh it with flight manual in it, so that you don't have to calculate oil and stuff when you do your weight and balance. Only thing you got to calculate is gas. We weigh them empty or full, but this one will be done empty. That's pretty much it. A little bit of wiring left.